Hey everybody, welcome back to the Amoskeag Northern. Sorry it's been a while since the last video update. A lot of outdoor projects and things at work have kind of taken priority. It's really cut down on the time to work on the layout, so things really just haven't been moving along. However, what you can do is you can follow along on the Facebook page. I'll put a link in the description below. You can subscribe there, and even if I get like 10-15 minutes to work on the layout, I'll throw a photo up and you can kind of follow along a lot quicker as to what's going on the layout. I will be doing more videos on the layout. I want to get back to doing them every month to kind of show everybody what's going on, and I also think it kind of gives people a better feel as to the size of the layout and what's going on. So what has changed since the last video? Well, in the last video we talked about the swing bridge, where you come into the layout room. I got halfway through building the swing bridge and then had this epiphany that if I just eliminated the reason for the swing bridge, I could eliminate the swing bridge. And the reason for the swing bridge was in the utility room, where the staging yard is, there's a chest freezer. And we needed to be able to get in and out to access that chest freezer to the rest of the house without any obstructions. So the easiest solution at the time was to just put a swing bridge in. You can move the swing bridge out of the way when you're not using the layout, and you can go in and get your stuff, or it can remain always open when the layout's not being used. A swing bridge, it seems relatively simple, but the engineering is just a lot more than it's worth. You got to figure out how to engineer it so that it opens smoothly, so that when it closes, that everything lines up all the time, especially if it's going to have scenery on it. It's going to be a scenic swing bridge. The electrical aspect of it, you need to engineer it so that it doesn't sag over time and that everything works the way it needs to work. But ideally, if you just eliminate the reason to have it, then you don't need it. So what I ended up doing was just moving the chest freezer from the utility room over into my shop on the other side of the house. That way you can get in and out of the freezer with no problems. And it eliminated the need for the swing bridge. So ultimately what I did is, some of this benchwork here is new, and there's some changes over here on the west end before we get into the staging yard. I just straight railed it across the door in over to the west end of Amoskeag Yard. That's resulted in some changes in Amoskeag Yard, which I think will ultimately be for the better, and you'll see those in some videos coming up and on the Facebook page as well. But now you just have a slight duck under to get from the outside into the inside of the layout. And for somebody about my height, it's negligible. The layout height here is between 56 to 57 inches. So it's pretty much just a kind of like a nod under. And for the amount of times the layout's going to be open to the public, maybe once or twice a year, I really don't think it's going to be much of an inconvenience. I've been to several other layouts on like the Tour de Chooch that we have around here in New Hampshire and Mass during November. You're trying to cram like 50 people into a layout that has aisles that are 20 inches wide and you're sideways. So I really don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for most people. So aside from that, there's kind of going to be some logistical changes with the layout. And that is mostly related to time frame. The layout had been set around 2008, mostly because of the RPS trucks. I really like them. They're really highly detailed trucks, really nice trucks. They're 2008 models. Ideally, I wanted the layout to be around 1997 to 1998-ish, but the highly detailed trucks for that model year really weren't available. Atlas just acquired RPS's toolings for those trucks in their N scale line. Now I'm hoping that RPS will still do those in HO, because that could really result in a change of time frame for me. If you've been following along with the Amoskeag Northern for many years, a lot of you may recall that the Amoskeag Northern started out as a division of Conrail in the 1990s. The line, basically, the Amoskeag Northern Division focused on a main line that ran from Portland, Maine to Chicago, Illinois, that was proposed in the 1800s. Portions of that line were built, aside from the eastern half of New Hampshire over to Portland, Maine. The guy who had pretty much was the financer of this line died The project fizzled, and then all the other sections ended up going to some smaller roads and the New York Central. So like the Boston and Maine got some, Rutland Railroad got some, and then the New York Central got a bunch of it west of New York to Chicago. The whole point of the layout was that that line had actually been completed and continued to Portland. It had become a part of Conrail as their Amoskeag Northern division. Ideally, I'd like to be able to do that again with Conrail power, and then maybe just have the Amoskeag Northern be a small short line that serves the rest of the railroad, or maybe even do more of a modern Norfolk Southern. That's kind of just in the air as to how that might change a little bit. It'll definitely make things a lot easier for painting. If I can use Conrail or NS stuff, you might as well let the factories do it for you. But it also goes into some changes on what is the longevity of this layout. Currently, that's about 4 years. There's been some developments over the last several months as to where I want the layout to go and where I see the layout ending in its current rendition. And that's mostly not because of changing the way I want things. It's we're looking at moving to the Midwest. We're looking at areas in Ohio around Fostoria, maybe Bryan, some areas out there, kind of looking around to kind of see what suits what we want. We have 5 acres here in New Hampshire, and I want to purchase a larger piece of property out in the Midwest, 50, 100 acres, something like that. A large project for us. And that gives us the opportunity, or gives the layout an opportunity, to move out there with us, whether it's in pieces or it's completely started over again. But it also kind of gives the layout a new vision. I've never visited any layouts out in that area. I've been to a few out in Wisconsin and Illinois, and you get your Granger roads and stuff like that. And a lot of you have probably picked up that I like the Granger roads as well. I got a lot of Milwaukee Road stuff, a lot of CNW stuff. I love patched out Bandit Milwaukee Road and some CNW stuff. But a New England layout in the Midwest, it might be interesting for people to see out there. I like when I'm in here in New England, when we go on layout tours, and I get to see layouts from people who used to live on the West Coast or other parts of the country, and you get to see some Santa Fe, UP stuff. It kind of brings a little bit different perspective from all the Boston and Maine Central layouts that you see out here. I mean, everybody's got a Boston and Maine or Maine Central layout around here. Some of them are really well done, but ideal, in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty much all the same. Maybe get some scenery changes, but that's it. I think it would be kind of interesting to have a New England themed layout out in the Midwest. I think that might be a draw to some people, and they might like it. I mean, ideally, the layout is for me. I'm building it how I want to build it, but I just think it's enjoyable to see other people enjoy the layout as well. And if it's something different, they may not have had a chance to visit, the White Mountains of the Northeast or the Green Mountains or whatnot, and to see the railroads that go through it and the scenery that goes along with it. So I think that would be kind of interesting. But that's still a long ways off. I mean, I say a long ways, but it'll probably come a lot faster than you anticipate. We're looking at about 4 years. Around year 3, the layout progress will probably, 3 years from now, the layout progress will probably come to a stop, because we'll be really working on the logistics on getting out to the Midwest. And, that's searching for property. That's possibly building if we're going to have to. It will probably be that we'll probably have to build a house to our specifications based upon what we want. Just looking around right now, I know the market's crazy, but I'm not seeing a lot of what we want house-wise. I'm seeing a lot of what I want property-wise, but not necessarily the house that's on it. You get one, but you can't get the other. They're not together at this point in time. So we might have to just buy property and build, which I'm fine with, because then we can build a basement or a pole barn or something like that that suits the layout that I plan. And the layout out there will be the same as it is in here. One town. Most of you guys know that all the layouts that I've built are one town. I think it brings a lot of realism to the layout where you don't have a 20, 30 car train stretched out through 3 or 4 towns, or you've got a 4x8 that's got like 2 towns on it. I think by elongating those distances, you don't have to compromise as much in selective compression. And the buildings are larger, the distance between things are larger, the structures look like they actually serve the purpose of the railroad. You can stuff 6 boxcars at a building and it looks like it can support 6 boxcars. And that mostly comes down to just realism. Now, a lot of the structures on this layout and on other layouts in the future layout, they're big. I mean, my smallest industrial structure on this layout is 30 inches. Some of them are almost 5 feet long, and that requires a lot of kits. I've been collecting a lot of kits over the last few months, even though I haven't had a chance to work on the layout. Buy the kits, buy the kits, buy the kits. Now I have a huge pile of Rick stuff, Walther stuff, you name it. I've got plenty to work on in the winter, so we'll look at those as we go along. And again, like I said, you can follow along on the Facebook page. Make sure you like and subscribe and sign up for the notification bell here on the YouTube page so you get notified when the video is coming. And we'll see you guys as we work on the layout, and look forward to having you along. See you guys again soon.